The arena floor was silent except for the soft clicking of claws against stone. Varen pressed his face against the observation barrier, his amber eyes wide with an intensity that made his littermates shuffle nervously behind him. The boldest of the cubs had claimed the front position, and nothing would move him now. "Is that really a human?" whispered one of the younger ones. "Yes," their keeper replied, her voice carrying the weight of warning. "Watch carefully. This is why we do not underestimate them." In the center of the arena stood Mira Kale, and she looked utterly unconcerned. She was smaller than any Vacrian warrior the cubs had ever seen, barely reaching the chest height of their own adolescent siblings. Her frame seemed fragile, lacking the thick hide and natural armor that evolution had granted to every predator species in the known galaxy. No claws extended from her fingers. No fangs protruded from her too flat face. She wore simple combat gear, nothing ceremonial, nothing meant to intimidate. And yet... Varen's tail twitched as he watched her roll her shoulders, stretch her neck, and smile. Actually smile. The gesture showed her blunt omnivore teeth, ineffective for tearing flesh, completely inadequate for crushing bone. But somehow, that smile made his blood run cold. "She has fought 17 times, the keeper continued, her voice dropping to something almost reverent. 17 species, 17 champions, 17 victories. The gate across from Mira Kale groaned open. What emerged made the cubs gasp collectively. A Thoracian berserker, 3 meters of muscle, chitin, and rage. Its 4 arms ended in scythe-like appendages that had torn through hull plating in documented combat footage. Its mandibles clacked together in a threat display that had made entire war parties flee. Mira Kale's smile widened. "Why isn't she afraid?" Varen whispered, and this time even the keeper had no answer. The Thoracian charged. To the cubs, it was a blur of violent intent. A killing machine evolved over millions of years to be the apex predator of a death world where everything was either poison or blades. Mira didn't run. She moved. It wasn't the explosive power the cubs expected. It was something else, something that made their hunter instincts scream in confusion. She flowed around the first strike like water, and the scythe arm that should have bisected her found only air. The Thoracian spun, faster than something that size had any right to move, bringing 2 more arms around in a pincer strike that would have caught any Vacrian warrior. Mira was already gone, rolled beneath the blow, coming up inside the creature's guard. "Impossible," breathed the keeper. "The reaction time—" But Varen wasn't listening to her words. He was watching Mira's eyes. They weren't wide with fear or narrow with aggression. They were calculating, measuring, tracking 17 different variables while the Thoracian's shadow fell over her like death itself. She struck the joint of its lower left arm. Not hard, not with enough force to break anything, but with precision that made the limb spasm. The Thoracian roared and swept all 4 arms in a spinning attack that should have been unavoidable in the confined space. Mira jumped. The cubs had seen many species jump. They had seen Vacrians leap great distances using their powerful legs. They had seen Skrell warriors bound across chasms, but they had never seen anything jump like a human. She didn't leap away from danger. She leaped into it. Mira's trajectory took her over the spinning arms, and for a moment she was airborne, suspended above the Thoracian's head. Her hand shot out, grabbed one of the creature's antennae, a sensory organ so sensitive that touching it was considered taboo even in mortal combat. She yanked. The Thoracian's roar became a shriek. It reared back, all 4 arms clutching at its head, and Mira rode the movement, using the creature's own momentum to flip herself onto its back. Her legs locked around what passed for its neck. Her arm, that weak, clawless human arm, wrapped around its throat. "She's choking it," Varen said, and there was something like awe in his young voice. "She's killing it without claws, without fangs, without venom." The Thorakian thrashed. It slammed itself backward into the arena wall, and the impact would have crushed any Vakrian's spine. Mira grunted but held on, adjusting her grip, tightening the hold. Her face was set in concentration, not rage. This wasn't a berserker's fury. This was something more terrifying. This was patience. The Thorakian's movements became sluggish. Its arms stopped their violent flailing. One by one, they dropped to its sides. The creature that could tear through starship bulkheads swayed, then fell. Mira released her hold and rolled clear as the Thorakian crashed to the arena floor. She stood, chest heaving with exertion, and looked up at the observation deck, directly at Varen. The cub should have looked away. Every instinct told him to break eye contact with a proven predator, but he couldn't. He stared into those human eyes and saw something that would haunt his dreams and fuel his ambitions for years to come. He saw a warrior who had turned weakness into weapon, who had taken a fragile body and made it triumph through pure determination and impossible skill, who had won not because she was strong, but because she refused to lose. Mira Kyle raised her hand, not in threat, not in mockery, but in acknowledgement. The gesture was meant for the cubs, Varen realized. This entire fight had been a lesson. "What did we just witness?" one of the younger cubs asked, voice trembling. The keeper's response was quiet, almost reverent. "The reason humanity sits on the Galactic Council, the reason their death world produced warriors, not just survivors, the reason we invited them to train our young." She paused, watching, as Mira helped the recovering Thorakian to its feet. Even in victory, showing the respect of a warrior, not a conqueror. "You witnessed," the keeper continued, "what happens when a species evolves not with the greatest weapons, but with the greatest will." Varen pressed his claws against the barrier, leaving small scratches in the reinforced material. When he grew, when he was old enough to enter that arena himself, he would remember this moment. He would remember that victory wasn't about fangs or claws or natural armor. Victory was about refusing to fall, and the human named Mira Kale had just taught an entire generation of predators what that truly meant. Below, Mira walked from the arena, undefeated, unbowed, and completely aware that the most important fight she'd ever won wasn't against the Thorakian. It was the fight for the hearts and minds of the cubs watching from above, the next generation who would carry the memory of her triumph into the stars.